from the legal basis as well, because there are great concerns with regard to the protection established by the Constitution.
Hi. I think from a technical point of view, any company that opens itself up to provide a backdoor for these governments will drive its customers away. Any antivirus company that says, we'll open this door for you, we won't detect this, people will simply move to the next antivirus.
Definitely.
And if there's no antivirus left, someone will write an open source antivirus that will ignore the governments. It's the same with operating systems. If Windows is opening a backdoor, people will move to Mac. If Mac opens a backdoor, people move to Linux.
But this is why it is so bad. Why opening a backdoor, or why if there is a software that would enable law enforcement agencies to get into your computer, others could do it the same way. So if we're cooperating, we have to fight against it. The government should have a great interest in fighting against such a software, because they need to ensure that the computer system, that there is some kind of computer security. So that's basically the idea. So you're absolutely right. If companies, private companies, are starting to cooperate, they're in great trouble, because people won't trust them. And this is what happened in the United States. When there was this magical turn software, there were some rumors that some of the antivirus companies were cooperating with the FBI, and they had major trouble afterwards to deny this. They said, no, we didn't. And Microsoft is doing that on a regular basis. I mean, when there were reports that they were cooperating with the NSA in developing the latest operating system, they had quite a lot of difficulties in arguing why they need the NSA to be, if not implementing a backdoor. So what could the help of the NSA be? But, you know, this is something what we should carefully watch. We should really watch. And if we get information that there is a company that is working with the government and there is an option, I think there is no reason not to choose the option. So it's in the hand of the private people. But, you know, when I arrived today, I was in a petrol station, and the lady there was asking, do you have a payback card? And the guy in front of me said, yes, of course. The people are not protecting their information. They don't really see the need to do so. So if you're giving your private information to anybody, if you leave it on any website, if you use these kind of cards that store anything you were buying, I'm wondering if the people would change their antivirus software, if they get aware of this, if they even get aware of this. But absolutely right.
I have a technical point of view as well. If you are actually collecting data from voice over IP or something, it's a noticeable amount of data. And to get this out of the computer, you're either going to collect it somewhere in a temporary file, which will be detectable, growing, or you have to stream it out, and the network traffic will be visible, growing.
Absolutely.
And people who are aware of the need of hiding something, they'll detect these things. They are not rocket science.
Okay, but this is what I hope.
The actual bombers from London were security aware and found some mail and just continued on writing their temporary on the same mail. Instead of shipping the mail from one to another, they made a kladde, I forgot the English word, and just continued writing on the same document. It never left the post box, it never was sent anywhere, and they exchanged every sensible information in that. Tricky.
The possibility, first of all, I think the technical point is very important. This is just one technical point that you've pointed out. I mean, there is a potential, I think, to install or to transfer a rather small program, a rather small software to the suspect, but getting out all these data, these maybe whatever, 1, 2, 3 gigabyte of data that you have there, that you've collected, this is rather difficult, and this will be one of the challenges. But they're discussing this issue. They're wondering if it is possible, for example, to mark this information as already deleted, so you don't even see that your disk space is getting lower and lower, because they are marking them as deleted files, wherever. I'm not a technician. I think you should see what are the possibilities, you will know. I mean, if the question is, can you design such a software? Some of you will for sure say, yeah, I have some ideas how to do it. And if you think about this, this is exactly the way the law enforcement agencies will work on the program. And I think we should not prevent it if it is a necessary instrument. But if we see it from the technical point of view and we see it is impossible to realize it, it doesn't make sense to implement it. So this is an important issue. And the second one is circumvention. Well, it's so easy to circumvent it. Don't connect your computer to the internet and send out CDs. Well, nobody can get on your computer then. Use external hard drives. I mean, they can search everything on your computer, but if it is stored on a CD, they would find it within regular search and search procedures, but they wouldn't find it on an online search. Use public terminals and change them regularly. How should they install it on your system? They need to target you, but they don't know where you're going next. There are many possibilities. There are even possibilities to use one of these hardware devices that always sets back your computer to the status it was before. So they can install the software on computer, but then everything is deleted again and it is reinstalled in the status it was before. So I think the possibilities to circumvent them are there, and they have always been, and they will be in the future. So we have to think about, do we really need such an instrument if it is so easy to circumvent it? And it's the same with data retention. Go to any public internet spot and they won't be able to trace you back. So why do we need to store the information of 80 million German people and a number of 100 million people in the EU if it is so easy to circumvent it? Buy a cell phone with a prepaid card where you don't have to register. You can use the email services and the data services. They don't know where you are. They don't know who you are. So if it is so easy to circumvent an instrument, a limitation of our freedom, we should really think twice before implementing it.
I just want to point out a parallel case. There was yesterday this lecture about the laser tracking dots. For those who weren't there, practically every laser color printer prints out small yellow dots to track back who printed it, where was it printed, and when was it printed. Basically, that was a similar approach. The governments took together and forced practically the manufacturer of these laser color printers to implement these dots, and they couldn't refuse, because then it was, I don't know, they were threatened with not being allowed to sell the printers in these countries. So you could do the same with Microsoft and all the antivirus and firewall producers to implement this back door.
Absolutely true, but what do you do if you download it? It's a well-known problem, but what do you do if you download the driver from another country? For example, in Germany we have a similar phenomenon, that scanners in Germany, the speed is limited due to copyright laws, because if you have a high-speed scanner, you have to pay more when you import them in Germany. If you slow it down, it's much cheaper to import it. So what the people are doing that are producing those scanners, they are in the German driver, they are lowering the speed by the software, by the use of the software. If you install the American driver, everything is fine. So the same with the printer, this is a software thing. So if you're using a different driver, this turned out, it's only the driver for those countries that have the restrictions. If you're using a different driver, you can use the same computer without any information printed on the paper. So there are, these restrictions, as long as they happen on a national level, are weak. We need international approaches. When all countries come to the conclusion, yes, we need such an instrument, well then, I will be one of the first who will say, okay, then let's discuss about this. But currently, there are so many countries who, with good reasons, refuse this kind of legislation that I would say, no. And Germany shouldn't take a leading role in that. And I'm really shocked about the fact that this is now the country that is way ahead of all the other countries in implementing such regulations. And I hope the technology will stop them. I hope they finally say, oh, we forgot to think about the technology. We should have thought about this first. No, sorry, we're not able to design this kind of software.
Here.
Yes, please.
I disagree with you in one point, and you maybe said it 5 times, that it's so easy to circumvent the software. And I want to remind you of the real world, that 95% of all the people using Windows machines and are geeks and nerds, and it's not easy to circumvent.
But the fact is, you're absolutely right, but the fact is the argumentation of the government is there are people out there who are using encryption technology, and that's not the 99% of the internet users, that's just the core guys like you who are protecting themselves. And we need this tool to get the information what is encrypted. So these are the guys, the clever guys, and they are able to circumvent it. That means the target group, the guys you are focusing on, they are able to circumvent it. And this is an argument from my point of view against such regulation. When we're talking about data retention, the poor guys are those ones who don't know how to circumvent the data retention, who are sitting at home, they don't have any information about it. So this is, as you pointed out absolutely correctly, this is a great difference between data retention on the one hand side and on the other hand side the investigation tool. The target group is different, and with regard to data retention, the target group, most of the target group will not be able to circumvent it. So we need a different approach. We need to more, those guys who know how dangerous it is, need to more effectively fight against this kind of legislation. When it comes to this remote software, I see a great chance that we can prove that the target group and those ones who can circumvent it are absolutely the same, and then it's useless.
Well, that was exactly my point too, because if somebody really wants to circumvent it, if those terrorists that are, well, according to Mr. Schäuble, dozens around, well, basically a second PC which is not connected to the internet, and they're all free. So the question is, they keep repeating and repeating that this measure will only affect 0.000 and so on % of the population, and basically that 99% won't be affected by this at all. But if I think about it, and basically this measure is so easily circumvented, that means either it's not complete nonsense, or they lie about us about the targeting area. The targets are not just the terrorists, but the target is anybody.
Let's say maybe those people who said, those politicians who said there will be only very few cases, we'd only have a very small target group. They might say the truth, but there are other politicians who already say, well, we need to talk about child pornography cases as well. That means the target group is not only terrorists in Germany, but they are now anybody who's in possession of child pornography. Next thing will be, well, anybody who is violating copyrights. So I think the target group will always enlarge. That's very sad. I've never seen that the government decided to narrow the target group again. They always enlarged it. So if they see this works, they say we want to have it in other fields as well. So absolutely right. But currently, what they say, the argumentation, and we can only rely to the argumentation at the moment, what they say is we need this instrument for those people who are circumventing the possibilities, or who are hindering the possibilities of the law enforcement agencies to investigate. And that's the people who use encryption technology, and that's the people who use anonymous communication servers. These are the people that we are focusing on. And these are exactly the people that are clever enough to circumvent it. So easy. So I think this is very difficult. This argumentation is very difficult, and you're right by pointing out the target group, and I'm afraid that this target group will really be enlarged.
So I'd like to add a small point to the discussion. So there are like telnet sessions which can be hijacked. There are botnets which can be hijacked. So why? So we should think about the possibility that also the Bundestrojaner stuff can be hijacked by other evil people. So what about that?
Well, excellent point. The question is, we had this discussion previously this morning. Who should design the Bundestrojaner? I can tell you that those people who are sitting for a long time in the BKA, which is responsible in Germany, they are not able to design it. So they need some other people to design it. So who would potentially be the right people? Well, hackers, people who know how to design malicious software in general, with theoretical knowledge. So I guess most of the German hackers will refuse to cooperate. So maybe let's go for Russia. But do you really want to hire a Russian hacker to design an investigation tool where you cannot even, well, if he's clever enough, and you need a clever guy, if he's maybe able to leave open a backdoor, and then he starts to use the Bundestrojaner later on. So this is a question which is completely open. good possible that spammers will in the future hijack the Bundestrojaner and use it for their purposes. So, and we had discussed another question. What happens if the Bundestrojaner, if they're aiming for you, but it's installed on a different computer system, and then there is somebody coming who analyzed the Bundestrojaner before and realized